Well, I am super excited to introduce everyone here on this call to, I don't get to say our newest because actually Nick Orris is our newest, but I would say our newest woman MD to the group from Bozeman. She's running the Bozeman office and has been with us 5 going on 6 weeks, if my count is correct. And she and I have built a relationship over the last month through training that has really added, I would say, for me, a new perspective of just energy and excitement, and also maybe personal things. She and I connect really, really well together. And one of the first things that happened I think it was week 2, she came on board and we were offered a challenge, and I'm going to let her talk a little bit about it. But what really resonated with me was that she and I were the only 2 women in this group of, I think, a total of 5 people. And we found ourselves kind of wondering, wow, what's it like to be a woman versus a man in this experience? And what was the outcome and why did we take the challenge? So Susan, I think I'm going to let you kind of go for it because you really stepped into it. And yesterday when we talked, I challenged you back to, why did you choose after being here for 2 weeks to just jump into this experience? And what was that like for you?
So what it's called, and you guys might have heard us talking about, it's called the 25 Hard, right? And I think there was a couple things. One, when it came up, I was like, okay, I'm already in week 2. I'm already drinking from the fire hose. I might as well just add more to my list, right? I might as well do more. Well, that's typical as women, what we do anyway, right? We just pile more on and on. That is sometimes a different tendency than our male counterparts might have. So I took it on really for a couple reasons. One, to prove to myself that I could make myself a priority. Again, women, we struggle with making ourselves a priority. So I did it for that because we have our jobs, families, whatever, dogs, friends, whatever we do, we have a tendency not to make ourselves priorities. And the second was to lead by example. We have about 50-something agents here, and it isn't even just that. It was my friends. I have a 19-year-old son. Again, leading by example of taking something on that isn't easy. It was 25 hard days, and I am going to do it again. I'm going to change a few things up. But so what I picked for my 25 hard was that I would have movement every day. So exercise, workout, whatever that was. And I will tell you, some days, you don't want to do it. Even if it was like I was going to do 15 minutes of core and 10 minutes of arms, that's just what I did, whatever that was. And that included Saturday and Sunday when I didn't want to do it. I still did it. I wrote in a gratitude journal. I wanted to remind myself everything that I have to be grateful for. And I think sometimes it's the littlest things. It's that somebody smiled at you. It's that, for the managing directors, for those of you who don't know, is we have a huddle every morning, all of us. And we talk about our wins and our connections. And sometimes our wins are just they're very personal. My win this morning in our huddle was very personal. And I think that is something that was really good about the gratitude journal, of me getting back to those little wins, those little things. I said I would read in a business book every day, a business or leadership book. And then I would take on, as I said, a book of epic proportion. So something that was huge, and I actually have it right here. So I took this. This is, by the way, only volume 1 of this book. It has part of the Gita in it. It's part of this, it's basically just, it's 7 times larger than the Iliad and the Odyssey put together. So it's this epic story. It's all this. So when I was going big, I was going big. And then the other was for me personally to take time at the end of the day to kind of find my peace again, which was a little bit of meditation, whatever that is for anybody. For me, I said it was just meditate, to kind of get back to finding that place of peace after a very, very long day of a lot of chaos as women, as we juggle. That was kind of my recentering. That was for me finding my place in the world again so that I could actually go to sleep. So that was a little bit of what happened.
Yeah. Well, and I think, sometimes we don't share enough about what we experience. And just to explain what 25 Hard is, it's 25 days of 5 things that you're going to add to your list of priorities. And, you know, if anybody knows, it's a big Todd thing. Todd loves to kind of activate it. He usually does it in the summer. He'd invited anybody to join. I think he's still out there doing it on Facebook if you're really interested, but it's also just a way for you with family members or a brother or sister or to be able to say, hey, let's do this so that we recommit and we kind of go to the basics, because Susan points out it is really difficult to do it. You can overcommit at the beginning and say, yeah, I'm going to read 3 books and I'm going to do all this stuff. And then you're like, wait a second, I've really got to tone this thing down and make it work. So I think when we talked, the biggest outcome also was that sometimes it's a self journey, even though you know you have others on the team, because someone may be doing it very differently than you. And that's the cool thing. You get to pick your own 5 things for 25 days. But when we talked yesterday, Susan said that she walked away after her 25 hard days on top of this new job, picking up some habits. And that was the win for her. So Susan, talk a little bit about that. What transpired there?
Absolutely. I think what I'll say too is, first of all, it is hard. And as you said, I have a tendency to probably overcommit myself because that's just what we do. And I'm a Gen Xer. I have a tendency to overcommit, okay, to everything. But one of the things that I noticed is there were some pitfalls, things that I hadn't thought through. Like, I always work out in the morning, so it's fine. I set my alarm at 5:30 every morning. Saturday and Sunday, I give myself a little bit of a break to get up and do it, because if I don't do it, I come into the office early, it's not going to happen. And I know that I get sidetracked easily. So that part I knew, but what I didn't really take into account is the other 4 things I did are all evening activities. I'm exhausted in the evening. I am so tired. And then I picked 4 other things that I have to do, because, you know, I work long days. I come home and then there's all the other things you have to do, from your bills, you're cleaning house, you're doing whatever you're doing. I'm like, and now I still have 4 more things on my list, right? And I thought, okay, that was a pitfall. I will not do that for the next 25 hard. I will figure out how to do this a little differently for a balance, because there would be times I was literally reading the last pages, feeling myself dozing off, but I had to finish it, right? So there was things like that. The win was definitely the habits that I realized that were so good for me. To take back a little bit of my own power and the things that I was so willing to give up for others. It was to make it come back to me. And again, what was a priority to me, and the habits that I feel that are necessary for my emotional, mental, and physical well-being. And those were the habits I was like, okay. And some of those I am going to take back into the 25 hard. I'm going to not do the 2 books, because I am a reader. And I noticed that being forced to read 2 books, I was like, I don't want to read. I just don't want to read anymore. So I think that was one of those things. I'm like, so I'm going to keep with the business and leadership, but keep my more entertaining or fun books. That doesn't have to be every day. Maybe that's the weekend. That's just how that's going to roll, because I did realize I was taking away from that. And then what I am going to add for this time, which I actually already started, but it is hard for me. And I know this sounds funny, but this is something that's for me is hard, is that I must leave my office at least twice a week during the workday. And that could be going home for lunch. That could be having a recruiting meeting. That could be whatever. I'm going to force myself. Suzanne's shaking her head because she knows it. I literally will work all the way through lunch. It's just, I get sucked in. People come into the office. They know I have an open door policy. If that door is open, it's all day, right? So I just kind of was like, no, I have to physically leave for my own well-being. So I actually have started that. And so today it worked out perfectly that I forgot my lunch at home. So now I'm going to go home for lunch today. And then tomorrow I am actually having lunch with my son.
Nice.
So, yeah. So that's otherwise I'm going to keep the other things that I had done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the biggest thing, really what I wanted to share today with is, Susan and I are part of leadership, and, sometimes we think that leaders are perfect and they're well put together and they're organized and they're just doing their thing and they're leading their office. And reality is we are all human beings that are all trying to find that balance in our life. And, next week, you'll hear about a thing called the Inner Compass, which I will share with you, which is a tool that I'm using, and Susan and I have been talking about it a lot, because it really is the part that I've found now for this next period. We tend to, as women, always reinvent ourselves. That is something that we're always looking for, right? For a period of time, we feel good, and then we go, oh, it's just got to adjust. And I think that's the way we are kind of wired. So finding some new resources to reconnect to different things, I think, is kind of, you know, what makes us work and function. So if you would all want to participate in 25 Hard with Susan and I, just connect with us. We will definitely support you in that effort. I'm concerned because Susan said she's already back on track, and I may not be on her track, so I need to get on her track. She never shared that with me, and make sure I've got 5 new things. So that's my commitment to Susan, to support her and I in this adventure. And if you want to join in, let us know. We will gladly take you along on the road with whatever those things might be for you, as you make this next step into what really is the beginning or the middle of summer in July and August. So Susan, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story and being open and honest. Hopefully it'll motivate someone else to do what we've been doing.